you know, thousands, if not millions of people will be going out for a Saturday run today. Well, this could be the most famous Saturday run the world has ever seen. And it's all about this man, Eliud Kipchoge from Kenya. We have liftoff. Apollo Kipchoge is up and away. And the challenge, very easy to say, to run 26.2 miles, 42.2 kilometers in under 2 hours. Very easy to say, rather more difficult to achieve. And they're on their way on the Reichsbrücke, traveling over the Danube, and they will be heading into the Prater very, very shortly indeed. Shalane and Ed have joined me in the commentary box. And Shalane, former winner, of course, of the New York Marathon just, 2 years ago. Eliud, of course, in the white, right at the heart of it. And then the two wingmen behind. And the way they come in and out will be absolutely key. Shalane, the magic figure of 250-something has been achieved. It means they're through the first kilometre.
Yeah, I mean, they look relaxed like they should, right? They look amazing.
Absolutely fantastic. Now, here we go. Look, the first kilometre completed, 41.2 to go.
All of that training is accumulated into, hopefully, a phenomenal performance.
And Ed, you were in Monza like Shalane. What are the improvement points, do you think, essentially, when it boils down to it? That was a terrifically successful experiment.
I believe it's like about 250 milliliters is what he'll be consuming.
Right, we'll see that. And we've just out of picture, we've actually got Valentin Treuil, who's the performance manager. He's the athlete manager. He will be on the bicycle, who will be handing the drinks to Eliud and the gels, and we'll talk you through that when it happens. We're looking for, what, about 7:50 or so, aren't we, for the first 3 kilometres when the pacemaker teams will change. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, the formation will remain the same throughout each of the teams. And the one constant throughout of all this, of course, is Eliud himself. Eliud Kipchoge there in the white at the heart of things. Well, 3 kilometres approaching, so we're expecting a change, Ed, very shortly of the team.
Yeah, and I, for one, of this formation, it looks strange and it's wonderful. You know, you see Jack Rayner there with a fabulous sort of 1970s style moustache spread across his face, giving us a sort of nostalgic feel. This is what the organisers are calling a kind of a K shape.
Or a Y shape.
Or a Y shape, I guess, but we have these two tail gunners here, and and all of it is to do with creating a little pocket of air around Eliud. Okay, yeah, I was not expecting that. I thought the whole team were going to change, so just goes to show. Yeah. So they're doing a proper stint here. That's 10K. What is that? 29 minutes.
28 minutes, roughly, right?
29 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So that's going a good lick. So they're getting a workout.
We're getting a good view here of the Prater. We heard in the build-up to the challenge starting how important this course is. At the moment, we're on target. We will be bringing you, of course, the projected time as we go through this extraordinary event. 1:59.50 is so far the projected time. And interesting hearing from Valentin Treuil, who's the gentleman there on the bicycle, who will be handing the drinks to Eliud Kipchoge throughout this challenge.
I think he looks pretty good, but then he always looks pretty good. So let's see what, they say in Kenya the race starts at 35. If he's still looking good at 35, I think he's got a great shot. But one of the tells that you have with Eliud, if we can see him, is that sometimes he looks with his thumbs when he's very relaxed. He looks like he's brushing lint from his lapels of his tuxedo jacket, perhaps. You get this beautiful rhythm, and he's slightly in trouble when he stops brushing lint. So right now he looks super relaxed, and it doesn't look like this pace is hurting him too much, but let's see how he goes.
Teams, and was one of the two wingmen, so Emmanuel Bett has done a great friend. There we've just got a great shot of the Hauptallee, the main stretch, and it's worth just reiterating, Shalane, that 90% of this entire course is flat and straight.
Yes, you couldn't ask for a more flat and straight road, and that is prime for fast running. Anytime you have to make turns is when you actually are slowing down, so they've minimized the amount of turns.
The Target time holding up pretty well. We've been hovering between 8 and 10 seconds inside sub-2-hour pace. So far, so good. And Ed, the next real milestone will be the 10-kilometre mark. And sub-2-hour pace would put him on, what, 28:26. So 11 kilometres completed. Half an hour of running. So we are a quarter, Ed, of the way through. And he's now fully warmed up and into his running.
Yeah, you'd say he'd be warmed up by now. Half an hour. I mean, all he's hoping for the first 3 quarters of this is to keep on schedule. You see sometimes the kilometre splits drift out for a kilometre, then they come back. I think he won't be too worried about that. You know, what you worry about is if they start to drift inexorably. But he'll be thinking right now, this is, you know, he's on schedule, and he doesn't look. I don't know what you think, Shane. He doesn't look like he's having too much trouble here.
Oh no, I mean, well, first of all, Elliot is just a beautiful runner, and even when he does break down, it's very, very small increments. But the fact that he's within seconds of his goal predicted time right now is not a big factor. If we saw that the splits were starting to drift backwards continuously, but they're not, they're just fluctuating by a second faster, second on, maybe 1 second slower, that's really nothing to worry about right now. As long as the overall time is where we need it to be is what is important. Yeah, Lopez Lamong, like I said, of the Nike and USA, the Bowerman Track Club. Patrick Tiernan of Australia. Shadrach Koick as well.
It's a truly international team. Murayama from Japan.
Do you know what? You're not going to get a lot of windbreak out of Shadrach Koick. He's quite a little guy. I'm pleased they didn't stick him in as the captain right in front of Elliot, because he would have got about, you know, his chest up would have been
I'm curious
taken
if that was a consideration.
Oh, it must
size.
be, right? Must be.
Yes.
I mean, but if you were just thinking about that, you'd get Lopez Lamong right in front of Elliot. He's pretty
True.
tall. Yeah.
Jonathan Correa, one of the anchor men at the back, a really lifelong friend of Eliud Kipchoge. We got a glimpse of Eliud Kipchoge there, side on, and I wonder if we'll just get a glimpse of his facial expression, just to read into how he might be feeling at this stage. But we've had 3 or 4 transitions so far. Ed, generally speaking, how pleased are you with the way the pacemaking teams have come in and come out, drop in, drop out, as it's called?
Well, you know, this event was always going to have a bit of ballet about it, and you know, you needed everyone to know what they were doing, what their steps were. I think for the most part they've been pretty good. The idea is that Elliot spends as little time out of the formation as possible, and if you've got 8 changeovers, that's 10 seconds a time when he's not in formation. So,
well, Henrik Ingebrigtsen is one of those pacemaking team. He's just come off and done his duties. He's been speaking, or he's now with Crystal. Well, the pacemakers continue to do their job, and they have been expertly put together and assembled by Spencer Barden, who is a very well-known figure in marathon running circles. He's the elite director for the London Marathon. He's been heavily involved in choosing and training and forming these pacemakers, and he's now with Crystal.
First things first, Spencer, is it going to plan?
So far, all is going to plan. So early days yet, still a long way to go, but the exchanges have gone very well so far. Elliot's on pace, so far so good.
I'm interested in the conceptualizing of the formations. Can you take us through that process?
Yeah, so we've done a lot of work in the build-up to this event in terms of looking at the formations, what was best for Elliot, what would give him the most protection out on the course. So we've come up with it's not a conventional formation. We've done a lot of testing with the athletes at the test event and here in the last couple of days. But we've got a fantastic group of world-class athletes. So they're relishing the opportunity, and they're working well in the formation, communicating with each other. And so far, it's all going very well.
And we've seen you communicating with the athletes before and after. What is some of the feedback that you're getting?
Just some final instructions, really. Just more to relax, don't panic. If something does go wrong, just work it through. Don't get in a situation where the important thing is not to trip or trip each other or trip Elliot. They just got to stay relaxed. Maybe something will go wrong. Hopefully not. But the guys are experienced and they know what they're doing.
And the crucial parts come a bit later.
Needs to be hitting 13.1, of course, to consistently get to sub-2 hour pace. 26.2 miles, the full distance in miles. And let's just home in on here on Eliud Kipchoge. This is a great shot for us to see the cadence and the way, the rhythm, the natural rhythm. Shalane, just give us the expert view on what you're seeing here.
I mean, Eliud's legs are perfection. If you just look from the waist down, his heel to butt, that's what I look for, is a nice pickup of the legs, and his heel is coming right up to his butt. He's got nice pop off the road. When athletes get tired in the marathon, you'll just see that their foot tends to land a little bit heavier and wants to stay on the ground longer. We just got a nice glimpse of them run by so quickly. I feel like he's regrouped. He looks a lot better. His face is showing just a lot more relaxation.
Ed, the thumbs are out.
The thumbs are out. I think that's good news. So he's still brushing lint from his lapels. So he's, as far as I can tell, I think he's come through a little rough patch there.
Well, that's good news if indeed he has. We're waiting for the 6 team to get ready. They will take over at 23 kilometres and take them through to 28 kilometres. And there we are. Eric Kiptanui, who's having a busy old morning, who's back on as the team captain.
I'll tell you what, that guy's in shape. He's having to do a serious workout this morning. He's going to sleep well tonight.
Matt Centrowitz there, having done a terrific job, and you got the sense there of the pride and the honour that he feels in being part of this, what we hope will be an historic day. Lots of chatting. Just left of picture there, just out of picture is Valentine Trau, the athlete's manager there, handing now more drinks and more gels to Eliud if he wants them, and he does take something on board there. Communication, Shalane, so important throughout this process.
Yeah, I mean, he has such a tight-knit team. He has worked with the same coach throughout his career. Patrick Sang has been by his side. He also has had the same massage therapist since 2002. Eliud is just a very loyal man, and he likes to build a team of people he can really trust around him.
We've talked a lot today, Ed, about his physical prowess. We've talked about him as a person. There is no doubting his physical shape and what a naturally talented athlete he is. What about his mental state? Because as far as we know, he doesn't actually have a formal mental coach.
No, he's very much his own coach, but you see how strong he is when he gets really challenged in races. You saw it in the London Marathon this year. He was really, really challenged by some very strong Ethiopian athletes, and you could see his strength of mind there in burning them off. He does read a lot. So he likes, Paulo Coelho, he likes to read self-help books. There are lots of kind of business style, management books in that camp. They do a lot of reading, those guys, when they're not watching Premiership football and so on. But they really try to improve themselves in that regard.
Yeah, he actually has in his home with his family a library full of books, and a few of the books that he's recommended I've actually read, because I said if Eliud thinks it helps him, I'm going to read it too. And so yeah, he's a great source of inspiration for many people in the fact that he educates himself and he's always self-improving. In fact, Patrick Sang, his coach, says, I think we're at the point in my career where I actually learn more from Eliud than I teach him.
Felix Ingebrigtsen there, sounding and looking good, as Crystal was saying his job is done. Now then, we saw just a few minutes ago the last splits for the last few K, 250s all the way round. And Shalane, you've been looking at the positioning on the road, on the Hauptallee of Eliud Kipchoge, and signs that actually he's feeling much better. Yeah,
so as an athlete, when I'm getting antsy and I want to run faster, I will run up on the edge and the shoulder of my pacer. And it looks like he was running up on the edge of Brett Robinson there, not running directly drafting behind him. Instead, he's on the shoulder, which to me means he's kind of like pushing. And that last K is actually showcasing it is a little faster. They ran a 2:48 last K, so 2 seconds faster than projected.
I was just wondering about this. You know, sometimes he's off on one side, and I wonder whether that's to do with what they've been told about what little wind there is, where it's coming from. So now we see what's kind of 12 seconds inside target time.
And that's the highest it's been in the race so far.
Yeah, projected 1:59.47.
But isn't it amazing how much better he looks now than he did 15 minutes ago?
We can only
Yes.
speculate. We don't know how he was feeling. If he did go through a bit of a moment, Shalane, what might that have been?
You know, it could be something as simple as just his drink not settling well in his stomach. And, you know, I've had circumstances in which the fluids are kind of coming up. They're not settling well in the stomach. And it could be something as simple as that. It seemed really early on to see him kind of straining. So I'm guessing it was maybe a fluid issue.
This is the quickest they've been running at any stage during the whole challenge, 13.3 miles an hour. And this side-on shot, let's just go to this again, because we see in all its glory, Shalane, the cadence and the natural running style of Eliud Kipchoge.
He's just like the world, but he stands out to me. He just has the absolutely efficient, perfect form for a marathoner.
You see the top half of his body, it's like a rifle target. You know, he stays so still, and his legs are doing this work, and then, you know.
And his core is so strong and straight, all momentum. If you see, they're running ahead of the green line, it seems. So it seems like they're feeling good.
This is a critical moment coming up. They're approaching the 30-kilometre mark, and the time we're looking out for here is 1:25.18. They're comfortably inside that at the moment. 1:25.18, so in about 16 seconds' time, would be sub-2 hour marathon pace. And in Monza, he went through in 1:25.20. More fans. It's the same guy again. He's having his moment in the sun there, in the grey on the left of picture. He wants to be a part of history today, and who can blame him? We all do. We're hoping that Eliud Kipchoge will be making history today. 30 kilometres have been completed, and let's just go back to Monza, just as a little guide, because in Monza he was 2 seconds outside of sub-2 hour marathon pace.
I'm kind of nervous, but I'm also excited that he has tried to break the 2 hour barrier of marathon. I'm really excited. I'm happy for him. Yeah.
You've also brought your 3 children along as well. How are they enjoying it?
They are very excited. They have never been to a race where their dad runs. Yeah, it's their first time. Yeah.
So it's a special occasion for all 5 of you. But what would it mean, do you think, for Kenya if Eliud were to break this 2 hour barrier?
Well, Kenyans are really waiting and are very excited for Eliud to do what no human has ever done. Yeah, they're really waiting.
Well, it's an absolute joy talking to you. I won't take your eyes off the screen any longer because I know you want to get out there and support your husband. And I do have to also say that Grace wouldn't normally do things in front of the camera, so we're very grateful that you've come to speak to us now. Thank you, Grace.
Thank you.
Wow, I think we just need to take a pause, don't we, and just breathe.
I've just edged myself up closer on my seat. The butterflies are really starting to accumulate right now.
And we are on the finish line here. We're hoping to call Eliud home and make a little bit of history here. I can tell you that the crowds at the finish line are 12, 15, 20 deep. We have a posse of Kenyans who are making an absolute racket. We've got Kenyan flags all over the place. The atmosphere is absolutely electric, and yet again, one of the contrasts between the experience in Monza a couple of years ago, and I think you make the point very well, Shalane, that mentally he said he didn't know when he went into that Monza experiment how close he would get to the 2 hour mark. He had no idea at all. Now he knows, and you just sense, as Ed was describing, that he knows in his heart of hearts that he can do this.
Yeah, he knows that this is going to open up the floodgates of the future as to what is possible. And, you know, sometimes you can't be what you can't see. So he's going to be an example for all future athletes, but not just athletes. His message is to the world of, you know, what are you possible, you know, what are you capable of doing, and what is your possible best self?
I feel very nervous right now because anyone who's ever run a marathon will know that the last few miles, anything can happen and the wheels can come off. He looks really good. He's hurting. You know, you're just hoping that he's got this.
10 seconds is the margin for error here. I just wonder, as we're, 6 kilometres from the end here, both of you, once he gets into that final kilometre, once he can physically see the finish line with his naked eye, could you argue that actually it's the next couple or 2 or 3 kilometres that are the most crucial?
Yeah, I believe the next, oh my gosh, look at the fans. That's incredible. I believe that the next few Ks are really crucial, because once you can see the finish line and taste it, it's like they say like a horse running to the barn. You know, and I'll be curious to see as to whether the Pacers are going to stay on to the very end. When will they peel off? If he's feeling good enough, is he going to communicate that? I'm really curious to see how it unravels in the last K.
Yes, in Monza, you may remember, if you were watching that 2 years ago, the pacemakers peeled away at 42 kilometres to give the full streets and the full final couple of 100 metres to Elliott alone. We've got 2 or 3 different scenarios that have been painstakingly put together, depending and rehearsed endlessly and repeated, so that nothing has been left to chance. And so it depends very much on where we are against the clock as the final team take over at 38 kilometres, led by Captain Legat. There he is, itching to go. Bernard Legat, a 5-time Olympian, 44 years old, 13 world and Olympic medals to his name, and he is going to slot into place and Shalane try and bring Elliott home.
This is the moment when you're in a track race and you go ding, 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 last lap. This is what we're going into. That was the ding, 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 the last lap. Elliott said last night, I don't know where the limits are, but I'd like to go there.
Well, the sound is deafening here. I hope you're getting a sense of that from our wonderful pictures back home. There we are. We've got fans from all over the world. Remember, a lot of people have travelled from Kenya to be here, the 8,500 kilometres. We bumped into some people from Utah yesterday. They'd made the trip. They'd flown overnight, and they were there, just so excited to be here.
Yes, we bumped into so many amazing fans yesterday, but specifically a family from Utah that flew all the way here. It was a mother and 2 sons. And I said, why are you here? And they said, we love Elliott. We love marathoning, and we are here to support Elliott.
There are 2 things going through my mind right now, which are, firstly, we should enjoy just watching this guy run, because we're not going to get maybe too many more chances to see him like this. And the second of all is, I hope that he's enjoying it. Even though he's in this tumult of exertion, even though he must be hurting so much, you really hope that he's soaking this in some way.
The next 15 minutes of this man's life, and indeed the pacemakers as well, but particularly Eliud Kipchoge, could be life-defining, and that is not overstating it. This is going to be, if he does it, an achievement off the scale. It's never been done before, and I think it transcends running, sport, and it really, truly pushes the boundaries as we've never seen before.
I think, the sport of marathon running is watched by not that many people. If he does this, everyone will know one marathon runner at least. They'll know the guy that broke 2 hours in the marathon.
And they'll know him as Elliott, yes.
Oh, wow.
And it's metronomic again, isn't it? The pacemakers have done an absolutely outstanding job. Patrick there, Patrick Tiernan, and we've got on the finish line here, we've got people who've climbed into trees. We've got 1 or 2 people who are standing on top of the portaloos, the portable toilets, would you believe it? Everybody is craning their necks. Everybody wants the best possible view here on the Hauptallee. We're standing by for major sporting history here. And Ed, we're into the last 10 minutes. We've got 10 minutes to bring him home.
Well, I'm starting to feel like those men in bowler hats who watch Roger Bannister. They had that privilege of watching that great moment at Iffley Road, and if everything goes well for the next 10 minutes, and I'm touching some wood here, I think this looks now like it's going to happen. You'd have to drop quite a lot of pace over these few Ks to lose it from here. It can happen. But you can see there's more relaxation on the faces of the people around Elliott, and you can see on his face he's still looking pretty relaxed. I mean, I'm sure he's hurting, but he looks quite good.
Yeah, I'm sure he's realizing he has 9 minutes of running, and you tell yourself, I can do anything for 9 minutes. Right in front of us, we are watching as all the Pacers gather on the other side of the road to cheer on Elliott, and I believe there'll be hopefully something to celebrate here soon.
Julian Wanders has, sensibly put on a huge puffer jacket because he's freezing cold. They're all jumping around. They're taking selfies. The whole team are now assembling because they think it's going to happen.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but my heart, I can feel it pounding in my shirt this morning. And we are just sitting here watching and in anticipation, licking our lips here. 1:50 on the clock. And we have, what, exactly 9 minutes to bring him home. What an opportunity here. And these final pacemakers with Bernard Lagat, I think it's so fitting that Bernard Lagat is the team captain for this final leg.
Yeah, from the same area where Elliot grew up, friends forever, you know, was a part of the last attempt. You know, the camaraderie on that last attempt was massive, even though, you know, he just missed the 2 hours. I think it's a gorgeous thing that Bernard Lagat's in this final group.
Well, 40 kilometres will be the last major K kilometre to reach the Mars landmark, and that will be 1:53.44 is the target. And let's just remind ourselves that actually by this stage in Monza he was already starting to struggle, and he was already he already knew that he was not going to achieve what he wanted to achieve.
He's in much better shape today. You can tell physically, you can just tell in the cadence of his running, you can tell by the support staff and a few smiles that are breaking through. I feel like the Pacers feel like they know it's going to happen. He's in a much better place today than he was in Monza 2 years ago.
We were at 10 seconds inside, we've just dipped to 9. I don't want to worry you folks at home, but we just need to keep an eye on that clock because we are ticking ever closer. But the cadence looks good, doesn't it? The shoulders look relaxed.
Yeah, but you see the thumbs are gone in. He's not feeling as good. He hasn't got very far to go. I mean, he has every right not to feel good. I wouldn't feel good. But he still looks amazing, all things considering. And, you know, in Monza, when it started to drift, he couldn't pull it back, and who could? You know, once those splits start to drift, you know, you're finished in
it's
terms of
almost like you have a rope tied to these Pacers, and once that rope is broken, it is so hard to get back on the pack. And the fact is, he's not allowing the rope to swing too far off of his Pacers. So the rope is not broken. He's attached to this pack, and he's going to just enjoy the ride to the finish.
Communication still taking place between Valentin on the left of picture there on the bicycle. He's giving instructions out. We just saw Elliot just lift his shirt momentarily just to wipe his nose. Needs to make sure everything is absolutely on point. Let's just enjoy these pictures. I think Ed has said, let's just enjoy history unfolding here before our very eyes. He's almost there. He can see the finish line. That's the view from Eliud Kipchoge. You can see the finish line where we are looming into view. 1:57 and approaching 1:58. I think we can say with some certainty
there
now that he's going to do it. He's going to do it. He's
right
going.
There. Just tell him to move away.
Come on, he says. Come on, this is it. Shalane, a final thought from you.
This is incredible. Eliud's performance is such a gift to the world. His running is a gift to all of us. I feel so blessed to be here today. I hope everyone can hear me smiling through this microphone right now. I cannot stop smiling.
500 meters to go. He has the Hauptallee to himself. All the pacemakers have let him go. As Ed said, he is sprinting into the history books here. They're cheering him on. 400 meters to go. Let's bring him home. This is history unfolding on the streets of Vienna this morning. It's a Saturday run like we've never seen before. Listen at the noise. The crowd getting right behind him. Goodness me, 300 meters to go. He can see the finish line here. Neil Armstrong we had on the moon in 1969. We had Roger Bannister, the 4-minute mile 65 years ago. Edmund Hillary, the first man to climb Everest in 1953. We have 1 minute to go. Eliud Kipchoge is on his way here.
It's not going to be a minute.
This humble farmer who used to run 2 miles to school every day and back. He used to go to the nearest town on his bike to sell milk at the local market. And now, through hard work and discipline, he's pointing. Come on, he says. Eliud Kipchoge has the hand of history on his shoulder. He has less than 200 meters to go. Eliud Kipchoge, let's keep an eye on the clock, into the final 20 seconds. Eliud Kipchoge on his shoulder. 1:40, the unofficial time.
There's his wife.
Eliud Kipchoge storms into the history books in Vienna. 1:59.40, the unofficial time. The first man to run a marathon in under 2 hours. One final lung-busting stride for Kipchoge. One giant leap for human endeavour. And you know, Kipchoge was right. No human is limited. And now he can celebrate. He has done it. And to Roger Bannister, Neil Armstrong, Edmund Hillary, we can now add the name of Eliud Kipchoge. Shalane, sum it up for us.
I would like to just thank Eliud for sharing his gift with the world, with us today in the City of Dreams. He created an absolute masterpiece that will never be forgotten.
Ed.
That was absolutely beautiful. That last kilometre was absolutely beautiful, with his teammates cheering him on from behind. He's now been held aloft by all of his teammates. There's thousands of people with cameras who want to hug him. There's a Kenyan flag. It's pandemonium at the finish line. He's gone crazy. You wouldn't have thought he'd just run a marathon.
No, he looks phenomenal. There are people crying in the crowd.